Hey guys, it's Mr. Baldwin again. We're up for lesson 2 and we're talking about water, and we're going to be talking about properties of water as a result of its polarity. Okay, so remember, properties simply is a characteristic that helps identify an object. So a characteristic or a property of me would be that I have a beard, I've got hair, I am a male, I'm a teacher, I'm super muscular. Okay, so those are all properties of me. Okay, so we're going to talk about the properties of water, so things that we can use to characterize or describe water as a result of that polarity. Remember, that polarity is like that positive and that negative side of the water molecule. Okay, let's give a quick start. So there's 4 properties we're going to talk about, or 4 characteristics that result from that hydrogen bond. Okay, there's surface tension, adhesion and cohesion, high heat of vaporization, and then the fact that ice floats. Now, chances are you guys have all seen this stuff in your day-to-day lives. We're just going to give you some sciencey terms that go along with it. Okay, first one, surface tension. At the surface, water's going to make hydrogen bonds with itself, but not with the air. Okay, so remember, it's going to bond just like those magnets, and it's going to stick to itself, but it's not going to stick to the air around it. Okay, and this is going to act as an invisible film. So it's going to basically keep things out. Okay, and it's going to add this tension across the surface, and it's going to make water-form droplets. Okay, this is something we'll probably do in class, where we've got a penny right here, and you can see a drop of water that's forming on the penny. And you can actually see that it goes around the outside of the penny because it holds itself together. It doesn't form that bond with the air. Okay, here's some examples you guys have seen all the time. So water drops, or dew on a leaf. You guys can see little droplets all on these leaves because of that surface tension. Okay, also this bug over here, it's called a water strider. If you've ever seen these things, they actually kind of float on water. Okay, and it's not because they're less dense than water, it's simply because they spread their surface area way out, and they actually push that surface tension of the water down a little bit, and they don't penetrate that surface tension. So like if you or I tried to do this, we would weigh too much and we'd push right through it. Or like if an elephant did it, he wouldn't be able to do that. He'd have to spread himself way out to be able to do something like that. Okay, so that surface tension keeps that water together. Okay, it forms that surface across the top where you basically can't penetrate it, and you can float on it just like you see in the water strider. Okay, now we got cohesion and adhesion. Now cohesion, the prefix co simply means together. That's why when you communicate with someone, you are talking together with someone else, listening and speaking and having a conversation. If you collaborate with someone, you're working together. If you live in a community, all those are people living together. Okay, so with cohesion, co meaning together, that just means that water is going to stick together or stick to itself because of those hydrogen bonds. Now, it's kind of similar, but kind of the opposite. So adhesion. Okay, adhesion is where water adheres, or it's going to stick to other polar molecules. Okay, so let's look at 2 examples here. Anybody ever drink out of a straw? I'll take that as a yes. Okay, so when you drink out of a straw, you're actually using cohesion and adhesion. Okay, so you see adhesion over here when water is pulled up the sides of the straw. Okay, so water is adhering or sticking to the polar molecules found in the straw. Now water just doesn't move up the sides of the straw. Water is actually going to stick to itself and actually be pulled up within the straw with the other water molecules. So the rest of the water is pulled up because it's sticking together. It's sticking to other water molecules. So you can actually see some cohesion taking place over here. Okay. Trees also use this to bring water from the roots up through their trunks and then out through their leaves. Okay, next we've got high heat of vaporization. People and other organisms, sometimes they get a little bit too hot. Okay, so if you ever work out, you're exercising, you're running, you start to sweat a little bit. And we do that, excuse me, to allow water to evaporate. Okay, when water evaporates off of our skin, it takes heat with it. Okay, so without perspiration or sweating, we can overheat and die. And the sweat has to evaporate to cool us. It can't just cool if it collects as a liquid on the body. So the fact that it can vaporize meaning turn to vapor or kind of evaporating, okay, if you're having something vaporize, it actually takes away heat with it, so it acts to cool us down. It's a really nice thing. If we didn't sweat, we would actually die. Okay, so if this woman wasn't sweating, she could actually die from just heating up too much. So it's actually a really good thing to sweat because it cools our... Last one that we have here. This is the fact that ice floats. Okay, when water freezes, it expands. Okay, and it becomes less dense. And that's why when it freezes, it actually floats. Okay, and it's important for fish and other organisms that live in the winter and the water. Okay, and think of an organism that relies on the ice. That floating ice. Something probably a little bit north. Yeah, you're right, that polar bear. Okay, and one of the reasons that the polar bear is endangered, global warming is actually melting a lot of the ice and uses it to hunt. Okay, we'll actually be using some of this ice in class in class this week. Okay, so here's a picture of a polar bear, and he's liking the fact that ice floats when it's frozen, simply because then he's got a place to kind of hang out on. But he's losing a lot of his ice here. Okay, you're all done. Go to the class website, take a quick quiz on the material you just learned. Use those notes. Remember, make sure you pause, go back, rewind, look over the material before you take the quiz. Okay? Go to the class website. You guys should do just fine. Use your notes on the quiz. I want you guys getting 100% each time. We'll talk about this in class this week. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you later.